You see my desktop?
Let's see. I don't see it as of yet, Carol.
All right.
Everybody else can see it. One person. So maybe it might just take a while to have it load.
Hang on. I'm so sorry. I'm new to this technology. So it's asking me to install this Anymeeting installer again. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Oh, they weren't. The person that said they could see it, they didn't realize it wasn't your desktop that they could see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they just see the beginning screen that has the title of the presentation on it, but they can't see your desktop just yet.
Okay, so while I'm waiting for that to install, I am going to let you all know that as a reminder, this webinar and my views are the opinion of the Naturopath, Dr. Carol Chandler-Kenreigh, and are for educational purposes only. And this webinar is, of course, not a substitute for medical advice from your medical doctor. Okay.
Entry and exit chimes are off.
I'm trying to figure out where. Okay, here. Okay, sorry. I was looking for where it downloaded.
So, Carol, you can even tell us a little bit about yourself while we're waiting for the presentation to come on everyone's screen.
All right, very good. Well, I have been oh my goodness, this is not working correctly. Anyway, I went to school at Trinity Natural Health College in Warsaw, Indiana as a correspondence course and graduated last May with a Doctor of Naturopathy and Master Herbalist degree, as well as Certified Health Specialist and Certified Nutritional Consultant status. Okay, why isn't this working? I'm so sorry. It keeps on having error messages on here. And another program is being installed. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, technology.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Thank you for your patience. Okay, trying to install this and think about what to say at the same time is...
Yeah, that could be a little difficult trying to juggle those things.
What is it trying to do?
Well, we have a good crowd this evening. That's good.
Can you see my screen?
No, I cannot see it. If anybody else can see it, if you can type in the chat box there that you can, that would be helpful.
It's asking me to choose an application to run this program. Anymeeting, loading your meeting. Okay. Oh, yay. Thank you.
Okay. Gotta love that technology. And you wouldn't believe, guys, that we actually went through this days before.
I know. It's like I thought I did this already. Okay, close. All right. So if I move this window out of my way, can I just pull up the...
Yeah, if you click on desktop, the desktop button.
Okay, there.
Yes, Laura, to answer your question, yes. We do have some spaces still available for people to join, so they can definitely join in. So please continue to encourage people to join in this evening. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Okay, I think I see your screen popping up. Yay! We got it going.
Hallelujah. Oh, yay. I love it when it works like it's supposed to. All
Yep.
right.
Yes, Laura, to answer your question, you can definitely join via phone. You don't have to be, you can just do audio. You don't have to do the visual part. All right,
yes.
Dr. Carol, there you go.
All right.
Up and,
well,
up and going. Everybody's saying, yay!
And welcome, everybody, to this Beginner's Guide to Naturopathy. I'm really glad that you had a lot of patience with me in the beginning of this program while I was experiencing technical difficulty. Now, in case you haven't seen me in a while or we have never met face-to-face, that's a picture of me that was made by my friend Liz. All right, well, tonight I'm going to define naturopathy and allopathy and compare and contrast them. Now, if you don't know what allopathic medicine is, everybody understands what their medical doctor is. That is the term I'm going to use for your medical doctor. Tonight I'm going to define naturopathy and compare and contrast naturopathy with allopathy. And I will cover the basic differences and briefly look at a little of the history behind them. And I will illustrate several reasons why health-conscious professionals would choose naturopathy instead of or in addition to their medical doctors. And we will answer questions like, when is a medical doctor needed most? And may I use natural methods for conditions such as cancer? And what can I expect at a naturopathic doctor office visit? And if you stay until the end, listeners will receive a coupon code to get a free 15-minute naturopathic wellness exam or a coupon code for a free 15-minute infrared sauna session with any paid wellness visit. So you might want to grab a notepad and a pen for whatever you might want to jot down during this webinar. So let's get started. At the basics and in the beginning, what is allopathy and what is naturopathy? Well, over 2,000 years ago, the father of medicine, Hippocrates, wrote that there were two approaches to healing, the use of contraries and the use of similars. Antipathy uses compounds which offer opposite forces as the disease in order to restore health. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to refer this use of antipathic medicine or the use of contraries as allopathy as well, which also uses other methods, such as surgery or completely unrelated chemicals to manage disease. Orthodox medicine, or Western medicine, as it is sometimes referred to, I'll be talking to you about this allopathic model. Allopathic means other suffering. According to homeopathyworld.com, allopathy, and I quote, there is no direct correlation between what you are suffering and the treatment you are given, but for some unknown reason, it alleviates the symptoms. In fact, strictly speaking, the majority of orthodox medicine tends to be more antipathic than allopathic, end quote. Some examples of the use of contraries would be prescribing an anti-inflammatory drug for inflammation, or a laxative to treat constipation, or an antacid to reduce stomach acid. The antacid offers the opposite action to an overly acidic stomach. Now, homeopathy uses similars to treat disease. For instance, if someone has red, swollen, itchy, teary, burning eyes, then the homeopathic remedy, allium cepa, is used. You might recognize that as an onion. This preparation is made from an onion. When you cut up an onion, onions create the same red, burning, tearing eye symptoms in healthy people. This is a good example of like curing like. In naturopathy, opposites cure suffering. In allopathy, other things cure suffering. In homeopathy, similars cure suffering. And in naturopathy, the power of nature cures suffering. This is, in a nutshell, the very basic differences between these methods. Now let's dig a little deeper. Allopathy was a term that was coined by the founder of homeopathy in the 1800s. And just so you know, Orthodox medical doctors do not embrace the use of this term, and they do not refer to themselves as allopathic doctors. All right. Medical doctors practice allopathic medicine, and allopathic medicine is based on a model which diagnoses disease by grouping certain symptoms together, then managing those symptoms with chemical drugs, radiation, or surgery. For instance, if a person has swollen joints, which would be the inflammation, and stiffness, and pain in their knuckles, the medical doctor will group these symptoms together and call them arthritis. And this is the diagnosis, arthritis. Now, naturopathic doctors do not diagnose or manage diseases or symptoms. But in my humble opinion, arthritis is not really a disease. It's a group of symptoms in the physical body that is informing you that there is some sort of imbalance in the entire organism, not just in the joint. Arthritis is a group of named symptoms that are coded with a label that insurance companies recognize as a covered medical condition. Medical doctors have to have a diagnosis in order to bill an insurance company. And naturopathic doctors, of course, don't diagnose, and they do not accept insurance most of the time. Arthritis is a medical way of saying the patient has inflamed joints. That's all that it is saying. How many times have you gone to the doctor with certain symptoms and he told you exactly what you already knew and gave you a prescription? Now, when patients are given a drug to block the body's natural processes, the root of the problem goes deeper into the body and gets more difficult to eradicate. And this puts more toxic burden on the liver and kidneys, and in the cases of cancer, an already overloaded immune system is overloaded some more. So now the body not only has to heal from the original reason for the symptoms, it must now also detoxify the chemical and in some cases heal from the damage the medication caused. Let's go on to the next slide. All right, so in this illustration example, arthritis, it's simply two Greek word forming elements used to describe the condition or symptoms. And in this case of arthritis, it comes from the Greek word arthro, which means pertaining to the joint, plus itis, meaning inflammation. Now, this does not stop the body from producing stiffness, pain, and inflammation. The chemical suppresses the body. It doesn't cure the arthritis. It just covers it up. And as you can see by the illustration, the symptoms and the causes of the symptoms are still there. They're underneath all of that, right? Okay, let's move on. Have you ever wondered about those FDA labels on your vitamins and mineral bottles and on all of the natural health websites and in your books and things like that? Let's cover this basically so you can understand why this is. Even though medicines cannot possibly cure, the FDA has said that by law, only licensed medical doctors, approved medical devices, and approved pharmaceutical drugs can cure, prevent, and mitigate disease. By law, the FDA says that no natural substance, no nutrient, no unlicensed health professional, and no unapproved device may cure, prevent, or mitigate disease. Now, this is a good thing in some cases because you want to make sure that the people who are treating you are doing so in a professional manner that is actually going to help you and not harm you. And by law, anyone selling a supplement has to use the FDA disclaimers. For instance, turmeric merchants may not legally say turmeric is scientifically proven as an anti-inflammatory, even if it is a scientifically proven anti-inflammatory. If they do, then the FDA will consider turmeric a drug and not a food. No one may make any claims about any natural substance or device, and that is why on every bottle of vitamins or herbs or any natural health website or book, you will read the FDA disclaimers. And whether or not anyone believes that turmeric is a food and not a drug is not in question, or whether or not turmeric actually is an anti-inflammatory is not in question either. The wording of the law is what is the wording of the law, and we all have to follow the law whether we agree with it or not. So medicines or prescription drugs are not designed to cure disease. They are only used to manage the symptoms of the disease, and that's why you might hear a doctor say, you have to stay on this medication for the rest of your life. Now, if medications actually cured disease conditions, patients would not need to take them for life. Now, in the case of antibiotics, for instance, yes, they kill the infection, but they also kill good, healthy bacteria too and create environmental conditions in the body that invites other organisms to take root, such as candida, which also creates other imbalances. So, did the antibiotic really cure the body? Now here is, even though I am talking about the basic differences between allopathy and naturopathy, I need to mention here that homeopathy is in a little greater detail because there's an often confused distinction about homeopathy and naturopathy. Some people use them interchangeably, but these terms are not the same things, and they are not used interchangeably by holistic healthcare professionals. Homeopathy is a holistic healthcare modality based on the philosophy that like cures like we already went over, and it works on an energetic level using tiny bits of natural substances such as the onion like we discussed before. This method can be used by naturopathic doctors and homeopathic physicians. However, these terms, again, are not the same thing. Homeopathy is just one of the many natural healthcare modalities that are covered under the holistic healthcare umbrella. And here you can see the holistic healthcare umbrella, and it includes all kinds of different modalities such as herbology and massage, naturopathy, chiropractic, and homeopathy and acupuncture and all of those. So what is naturopathy exactly? It is a holistic healthcare modality that uses the power of nature to help the body heal itself. And included in this is the use of homeopathy, emotional freedom techniques, acupressure, and different things like that. It works by harnessing the power of nature to help the body heal itself and considers the entire person, including your spirit, mind, will, emotions, and body. Here is naturopathy, and under the umbrella of naturopathy are herbs, energetic supplements, organic foods, detoxification, EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, saunas, kinesiology, homeopathy, acupressure, acupuncture, and the like. So you get the idea. All right. So some naturopathic doctors also use kinesiology, which is known as muscle response testing to determine what the body needs to help it heal, or as a way to confirm observations. Some naturopathic doctors also use laboratory blood and urine tests as an additional tool. This is more of an integrative functional form of naturopathy, which utilizes lab tests to help evaluate what's going on within the body, much like medical doctors do. Only we don't use it to diagnose or treat disease. We use it to figure out how to get the body well. This, coupled with other observations, are also used by some to help guide the patient on their health journey. As part of my practice at the Naturopath, I also use the blood work and the urinalysis and kinesiology and lengthy questionnaires and observation and discernment to help me gauge the current health status of my client. These tools also give me an idea of how to coach my clients step by step. Then those who choose to follow the steps can use the information at home to help them walk along the road to better health for themselves. Now, this is a journey and a process, and it takes time. I've been adding and subtracting things from my lifestyle and diet for 30 years, and no one expects your health journey to occur overnight. Health conditions do not develop overnight, and as my mentor, Dr. Erica Steele, says, the Naturopath is a journey and not a destination. It's a continual process that will take time. And I'm nothing more than a pace car that will set the pace for my patients and help them to take one step at a time to maintain or regain their health, however long that it takes. So there is some basic difference between allopathy and naturopathy. Naturopathy is more proactive versus allopathy is more reactive. For instance, you walk up the stairs and your hip goes out and you break your leg by accident. So you go to the doctor, get x-rays, and you get a cast of the bone in correctly. The doctor doesn't heal the bone. She takes x-rays and sets the bone so it may heal in proper alignment, right? And on the other hand, naturopathy is much more proactive. We learn what demineralizes and weakens bones and work to remineralize and strengthen the bones so they don't have a tendency to break when you just are happening to walk up the stairs. So naturopathy asks the question, what environmental conditions are weakening the bones? What's going on mentally? What's going on emotionally? What's going on spiritually? What's going on physically with the patient? What's causing the bones to weaken? How can we give the body what it needs to restore and repair? Now, as a naturopathic doctor, I consider such things as scriptures, which say in Psalm 31:10, for my life is spent with grief, and my years with sighing. My strength fails because of my iniquity, and my bones are consumed. Now, if you consider this verse, it says that a lifetime of anguish and years of expressing the sorrow with a guilty conscience may cause bones to fail. And Psalm 32:3 says, when I kept silence, my bones waxed old through my roaring all the day long. Now, this verse suggests that when unexpressed emotion is loudly turned inward, this too may cause bones to weaken. It doesn't have anything to do in these cases with calcium and magnesium. Psalm 22:14 says, I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, it is melted in the midst of my bowels. Now, this verse suggests that some heart troubles may have an involvement in the GI tract, which may begin emotionally or by high levels of stress. And then finally, in Proverbs 17:24, it says, pleasant words are as a honeycomb that are sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. So since pleasant words are healing to the bones, then the opposite would mean that ugly words or emotionally charged, untruthful, negative words would be destructive to the bones. Now, what is in the bones? The marrow is in the bones. And what does marrow produce? Marrow produces red blood cells. And the scriptures say in Leviticus that the life of the flesh is in the blood thereof. So our heartfelt words will either destroy our health or heal our health. And this, again, is another very, very big distinction between allopathic medicine and naturopathy. So as seen in these four scriptures, physical symptoms often have spiritual and emotional roots. So we would be very wise to consider what is going on in our feelings, our emotions, and our words as they affect our health. If we focus only on the physical symptom without considering the whole body, including the spirit and the mind, healing will be delayed or diminished or may not happen at all. So allopathy is best suited for acute care, trauma, and emergencies. You break your leg, go to the emergency room. Excuse me, if you're involved in an automobile accident and you suffer from lacerations and internal injuries, of course, dial 911. Go to the hospital. Medical doctors are best used in trauma and emergency care. If you're having a stroke or a heart attack or some other medical emergency, dial 911. That's what they're there for. It very well may save your life. Allopathic medicine is best hands down for these types of situations. But for the prevention and maintenance of chronic long-term conditions, including cancer, naturopathy is best as it gets to the root and supports the body's natural processes. So naturopathy doesn't use poisons to try to heal the body. That never really made sense to me anyway. Look, if your fish are sick and dying, adding chemicals to a toxic cesspool of an aquarium will not help the sick fish live again, to swim in it. You've got to check the water pH. You have to check to see what chemistry is in the water. You have to change the dirty water. You have to get rid of the toxic plastic rocks and change the filter and make sure that the oxygen air bubbler thingy is working right. You have to feed the fish a nourishing diet and perhaps add fresh plants to the tank. Then the fish will begin to heal themselves. So rather than block or hinder the symptoms using a drug or an herb for that matter, naturopaths get to the root cause and support the body's efforts to purge, detoxify, tonify, and rebuild so that the intelligent body can regain its own balance and health. Now here are some the differences just lined up, allopathy versus naturopathy. The primary goal of allopathic medicine is to diagnose and treat disease through suppression or removal of the symptoms. The patient is a passive recipient of the treatment. Now, the primary goal of naturopathic medicine is to support and strengthen the body's entire natural resources, including, again, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical systems. So the patient in that case is highly involved and therefore plays a large role in the outcome of the health care being offered. So in allopathy, the doctor is the authority versus naturopathy. The naturopathic doctor is your therapeutic partner. Allopathic medicine, the patient receives passively the treatments. Here in naturopathy, the patient is an active participant. The patient has to do the work to get well. The lifestyle and the eating and taking the appropriate supplements and doing what you need to do in order to recover your health is all up to the patient. Allopathy is more palliative. It primarily helps the patients feel better. Symptoms as an enemy, symptoms as a guide. Symptoms are treated, suppressed, and fought. Pain and disease are negative and must be stopped at all costs. But in naturopathy, we use the symptoms as a guide to help find patterns and root causes, and the pain and the disease are useful for that, to tell us about the disharmony in the body. Allopathy uses isolated chemicals, which often come from plants. And in naturopathy, we use the synergy of the whole plant. In allopathic medicine and for properly prescribed prescriptions are the fourth and fifth leading cause of death in the United States. And in naturopathy, there are 0 reported cases of death due to properly used herbs, food supplements, and natural methods. In allopathy, one size fits all, but that is changing now because of research in genetics, which is really awesome. Everyone is unique, so there is no one size fits all program in my naturopathy practice. Appointments are often rushed and behind. Appointments take time. The doctor is the intelligent being, and in naturopathy, the body is the intelligent being. If a doctor says, oh, you're incurable, we don't have any more options, there's nothing more we can do to help, in naturopathy, as long as there is life, as long as there is a willingness to live, there is always hope. In allopathy, there's no guarantees, and in naturopathy, there are no guarantees either. Allopathy is great for acute trauma or emergency care, hands down, and the goal is the elimination of symptoms. And for naturopathy, it's great for chronic care or disease prevention, and the goal is achievement of wellness. So it seems with all of how the terminology has been used for all of these years about allopathy and naturopathy, alternative medicine versus conventional medicine, it sounds like conventional medicine has been around forever and the alternative natural medicine has only been around for a little while, but actually it's quite opposite than that. We're going to go into a brief look of allopathy and naturopathy so that you can see how things have come to pass in our minds and thinking of why conventional medicine is now the go-to rather than naturopathy. The use of nature to heal man probably dates back to the creation of man, but nobody really knows for sure. But living close to nature, man could have observed the animals eating certain plants when they were injured or ill, and then practiced using them on himself. The Holy Bible and the Torah refer to specific plants, essential oils, and medicinal herbs. Herbal apothecaries are also mentioned in these books, and even a disciple of Jesus Christ who was named Luke was a physician. He was probably an herbalist because the Apostle Paul said someone who is weak eats herbs. Now, the Chinese claim herbal medicine dates back 10,000 years and originated with them. However, it's probably more likely the use of herbs originated in Africa. Documents have been found dated from ancient Egypt showing the use of many medicinal herbs, some of which we still use today. Now, around 500 to 600 BC, there was a great school of philosophy that was founded by, I'm not sure how to say his name, Pythagoras, I think, who taught many branches of natural science, and he gathered around himself many of the most brilliant thinkers of all time. These men laid the foundation for the coming of the father of modern medicine. You may have heard of him. His name is Hippocrates, around 365 BC, and he used the power of herbs to heal. His Hippocratic oath, which is still used by the medical doctors today, includes, first, do no harm. Ptolemy's, around the same time, had a medical school in Alexandria, Egypt. Two of the most famous of the professors of that school started dissecting bodies of criminals. These men were also opposed to the bloodletting that was common in those days, and also were against the poisonous remedies, trusting simple herbs instead. The heart organ was first paid attention to in relation to disease by Herodotus and Praxagoras, both famous and successful herbalists. Then in the Christian era, Claudius Galen, around 130 AD, came into the world. He was also a free thinker and wrote many books and treatises on herbs. He was named the Orator of Medicine. So great was his persecution by other physicians that he had to flee and return to his native land. But then the Emperor of Rome, his children were stricken with a life-threatening disease, and Galen was sent for, and he promptly healed the children using herbs. Now, this man suffered many wrongs by the hands of Orthodox physicians. This persecution has been repeated a lot throughout the ages and is still very evident even today, with the persecution of great independent minds such as Dr. Royal Raymond Rife, who invented a machine that had a 100% cure rate for cancer in the 1920s. And more recently, Dr. Stanislaw Berlinski, amazing man. He discovered anti-neoplastins and the cure for rare brain cancers over 30 years ago and was heavily persecuted by the FDA for over 25 years. He is now in clinical trials, and the FDA for now is leaving him alone. After the Norman conquest of England, many priests studied the works of Galen and Hippocrates and became famous for their own use of herbs. Now, I don't know if you remember this from school or not, but alchemists came on the scene, and they originated in Arabia. They wanted to transmute baser metals into gold. They sought what they called the elixir of life, as well as the philosopher's stone. Now, alchemy was transferred from Arabia to Europe, and medical chairs were established in the 13th century based on that. Then a man named Linacre, who was educated at Oxford, founded medical professorships at Oxford and Cambridge, which laid the foundation for the London College of Physicians. Chemistry was thus then applied to physiology, pathology, and therapeutics. Now, according to one of my herbal heroes, Edward Shook, Galen's system for healing was overthrown by a man named Paracelsus, who introduced the mercurial and antimonial practices, which still make up much of the materia medica of modern allopathic medicine today. Now, Paracelsus did not like the works of Galen, and he burned them and other herbalists' work after he said, "I found the philosopher's stone." So mankind, he said, had no need for the medical works of these herbalists. Crazy, and ironically, he died from a horrific disease prematurely at the age of 48. And he was taking his famous elixir of life that was associated with the so-called philosopher's stone, which was made from toxic metallic poisons, and it failed to save him. Even though he was known by this and his fruits, or what you could consider the lack thereof, his influence is still felt in the allopathic world today. Now, let's fast forward to 1847 in America. At a time when herbalists and eclectic and allopathic doctors practiced in a free market healthcare system with patients freely choosing the doctor who they believed could help them, the American Medical Association was born. And this is around a time when mothers became alarmed that their babies were being mercury poisoned by allopathic medical doctors. And they began actively seeking homeopaths for non-toxic help against illnesses. So arsenic, mercury, and other toxic poisons were being used by medicine in order to cure disease at this time. And not only were the use of these compounds ineffective, they were killing people. And the deadly chemicals of today are called other names, all of which were first approved as safe by the Food and Drug Administration, but later recalled. Now, look on the FDA's own website for a weekly released list of newly recalled medications, and I was really surprised that every week they recall medications. And for more information about this issue, you can read the October 26, 2011 article titled "Death from Prescription Drugs, the New Epidemic Sweeping Across America" on Mercola.com. Oh, what happened? Let me go back. 6,200% more people die from properly prescribed prescription drugs than are killed by homicidal shootings. Now that translates to 290 people a day. 290 people a day die each and every day from legal medications. That is like crazy. To protect their own financial interests in the chemical industry, the Rockefellers in the 1800s initiated and formed not only the American Medical Association, but also financed the medical colleges and financed a predetermined report called the Flexner Report in order to to put all of the medical schools who did not support the chemical industry out of business. Approved schools not only received grants, but also were given Rockefeller members to sit on their board of directors to ensure the school complied with book burnings, to remove competing herbal materia medicas and treatises from their student libraries, and to make sure that they would stick to the chemical company line in all aspects of the instruction. Now, with this background, it's not at all surprising to learn that the science of herbs and nutrition are not taught in today's medical universities. Doctors barely receive 30 minutes of instruction about food and nutrition and virtually 0 hours about herbs. That's why when you go see a medical doctor, they often do not give sound medical advice, nutritional advice, They don't give sound nutritional advice when patients are recovering from heart attacks or diabetes, and they give sugar candy to chemo patients in the chemo rooms, or they disapprove of patients trying anything natural. Let's keep on going. The only danger that was posed by herbalists and homeopaths was competition to the allopathic doctors. The first year in existence, the AMA, and I quote from their website, notes the dangers of universal traffic and secret remedies in patent medicine, end quote. According to their timeline on the website, in 1849, the AMA established a board to analyze so-called, quote, quack remedies and nostrums to enlighten the public in regard to the nature and danger of such remedies, end quote. Now, the ironic thing is, the term quack came from dentists in 1833 who refused to use mercury in the fillings. Those dentists called the dentists who did use them quacksilvers. Now, what is really ironic is today, dentists who do not use mercury or who remove them safely are called quacks. Alternative natural doctors are derogatorily called quacks as well. And for more information about the history of the term quack, there's an article on orthomolecular.org that's titled Quack Doctors and Quackery, authored by A. Hoffer, Ph.D. All righty. Now, what can you expect at a naturopathic doctor visit? This really depends on the doctor. If you come into my office, you will see a waiting area, and somebody will greet you when you come in for your appointment. At the initial office visit, there will be paper to fill out, and a wellness interview will be conducted, and I will order laboratory tests as well. And by the next appointment, a report will be prepared, and we will go from there depending on your choices. So, in conclusion, I want you to know that this webinar was designed as a tool for educating professional health-conscious adults so that you can evaluate your choices for care. I hope that I have clearly covered the differences between allopathy and naturopathy for you and gave you a greater understanding of what allopathic and naturopathic doctors do and the history of their philosophies. Allopathic doctors are most interested in managing symptoms and helping you feel better, and they are best suited for traumatic, life-threatening emergency situations. Dial 911. 911 is there for a great reason. Naturopathic doctors are interested in restoring the whole body, including spirit, mind, emotions, as well as the physical body, in order to get it to a state of balance, and are best suited for chronic or preventative care. Now remember, both have their place in health care, and both are very necessary. Now remember, at the beginning of this broadcast, I mentioned that if you stayed into the end, I would give you a coupon code to get a free 15-minute naturopathic wellness exam, or a coupon code for a free 15-minute infrared sauna session with any paid wellness visit. Well, here it is. Get your pen and paper out. The codes are free exam, and the other free code is free sauna. There are limitations. Only one coupon may be used per person, and up to 3 coupon codes may be used for immediate household. All right. Now, if you would like a copy of this webinar in written form, you can put your name and email address in the messages area of the chat bar before logging off, or you can get on my website and scroll down near to the end of the page and sign up to stay updated about upcoming events. As you see on this slide, my web address is thenaturepath.info. My office is 969-6989 number, and I can also be reached by text and email at 932-0063. If you dial that number and leave a message, I will receive a text and an email that you're trying to reach me. I also offer consultation via Skype. Those for you who need to log off, I'm Dr. Carol Chandler-Kenreigh, a naturopathic doctor for the Naturopath, and I want to thank you so much for your time and attention. And I would like you to embark on your own natural health journey on the Naturopath, the way to wellness. For those of you with questions, I will select a few at this time. Please be sure to type your question in the chat message box now so I can answer them.
We have one question, Carol. They wanted to know, what's the expiration date for the coupon?
The expiration of the date is 90 days from today.
All right, and some people did give you their emails in the chat box so that they could receive those slides.
Okay.
And if anybody has any questions, they can type them in the chat box. We have two questions. One is there going to be more free presentations? As regards to the Carekeepers webinar, which is what you're attending now, yes, I have webinars for the rest of the year, and they are listed at my Carekeepers website on our events page, and you can definitely go there and see what's happening every month. We have a different speaker and different topic. And then, Carol, what do you have coming up?
I have in May coming up what to do when you receive a cancer diagnosis. The date and the time is to be determined. We had to cancel it from this last month due to inclement weather. So to be updated on that, make sure you sign up on my webpage for event updates.
Great. And then we have a question, how can we lobby for insurance coverage for homeopathy?
That's a great question.
Yes, it is.
I wish I knew the answer to that. There are health share organizations that they're not insurance per se. One's called Samaritan Ministries, and there's another one called MediShare, and they are Obamacare compliant, although they aren't really insurance. What you do is you pay a share to a person who has medical needs, and in the case of Samaritan Ministries medical sharing program, they do pay for covered naturopathic care. Now, the naturopathic care that they cover is only those that are accredited and approved, and I don't know what their accreditation and their approval process is. And as far as lobbying the insurance companies, I guess we could call them and insist. But I think that because the philosophies are completely different, even though naturopathy, you can cure a major disease like or stop cancer from growing and developing in a body for maybe $10,000 versus $100,000. even then the insurance company are only allowed to accept approved, FDA-approved drugs and not naturopathic care, although chiropractic care is now covered in insurance. So I'm not really sure what the best way to lobby them is. Maybe you can let me know if you find out a better answer, because I certainly would love to be able to have insurance cover naturopathic care.
We had another question. The person is asking, can you recommend anybody in the Reno, Nevada area?
Reno, Nevada. Not off the top of my head. No, I'm so sorry. I don't, but I could probably find somebody.
Dawn, it was a Dawn question, and she did give you her email because she wanted the slides. So maybe if you do some research or whatever, you might be able to just send her the information later.
Okay, Dawn Michelle?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right. I'll look to see what I can find out. Either way, I'll let you know if I find somebody or not.
Anybody else have any other questions that they have at this time? Dawn says, thanks. I'm all about natural cures. I am too, Dawn. I'm right there with you. It's been one of the best decisions. And while I was sitting here listening to Dr. Chandler, I was drinking some of my kombucha that I learned how to make. Dr. Chandler taught a class, and our family is just enjoying that. So please sign up for Dr. Chandler's website and her seminars and presentations, because she has some great information. Oh, and Laura said that you had two slides that had the bottoms cut off. So if you call her, she can tell you which ones it was, Carol.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Laura. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any last words that you want to leave us with this evening, Carol?
Yes, I would. It is worth it. It is so worth it. If you're tired of being sick and tired, just change one thing at a time, and it's much easier to add something healthy than it is to subtract and deny yourself. So instead of agonizing, I got to quit eating sugar, well, start drinking kombucha. And the kombucha help balance your gut bacteria so that you no longer crave sugar. And so just add something, and eventually you'll crowd out the things that your body doesn't need, and you'll be adding, as you add in, the things that your body does need. So thank you,
That's
everybody.
Great.
Thank you again so
Great
much.
advice. Thank you. Thank you for participating.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me. And thank you, everybody. And God bless you, and good night.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And please keep in touch. And we have some great more webinars coming. Our next one is going to be Live Life Without Limits. We're going to be interviewing Mr. Frank Friedland, who is a pancreatic, lung, and kidney cancer survivor who has beat the odds and truly lives a life without limits. This man his story is just amazing. And then we're going to have Linda Pate, who is a life coach, talk to us about refreshing the dryness in your life. So you want to stay tuned to what we have going on, and be sure to plug in. And until next time, God bless, and thank you again.
Oh.